So, hi everyone, welcome to this Quick Start Basics for Network Marketers. This is number 2 of the 10 core commitments for network marketers. This is Be Here a Year from Now. And we're so happy for you to join us. And tonight our goal is to equip and empower you to be the best network marketer that you can be and build a strong and profitable business. Before we get started, let's let you know what's coming up so that you can be in the know about these things and participate and join in. So besides this class, this Quick Start Basics class, this is our 10 core commitments. And actually, before anything else, I would like to welcome the brand new people who just joined us. And where's that paper? Sorry. Okay, I am happy. I'm happy to welcome some new members tonight. And where did they go? I'm sorry. Well, let's see if I remember. I want to welcome the people who are watching or maybe watching the replay, and that is Candy Clayton, a wonderful lady, and Ann Zuccardi, another awesome, beautiful lady, and Olga Coman, who is with us today, and Laird David McCarthy, who is from Ireland. So I'm not sure the time frame there, but likely he'll be listening to the replay. So first of all, I want to welcome you all. Very glad you're here. So this is our 10 core commitments, basic foundations for network marketers. And we'll cover those or explain a little bit more about that, what that is in just a minute. But you are in the foundation class in our school, the MLM Millionaire Club School for Network Marketers. It's a generic school. And so this class is every Sunday night, our time, at least U.S. time, at 9 p.m. Eastern time, 90 minutes. We record it for those who are only able to watch the replay. And then after the 90 minutes, we turn the recording off and have some open coaching. We're going to ask you takeaways that you got from the class tonight so that we know what you value the most. And it helps us to kind of summarize and refresh for other people listening too. So we're going to do that. I want to also let you know about another class that we have in the school, sort of an insider advanced level class, and that is on Wednesday nights. We have something called MLM Leadership University, and we cover one of the books by John Maxwell a month. Only right now we're on a very big book, so we're going to take about 4 months to cover this one. And it is John Maxwell's 101 Leadership Collection, or the complete 101 collection, what every leader needs to know. We teach this class because leadership is like the pinnacle of business anywhere, but especially including in network marketing. John Maxwell is the #1 leadership expert in the world, and Jeff Gamble, who's here, our co-teacher here tonight, he happens to be a certified John Maxwell trainer, speaker, and coach. So because of that, we're able to bring you this wonderful class inside the school. Now, this is no small thing. Not many people are able to do this. Very special class, as the people who are in it know. We go into one of the books a month. We have a discussion. We learn deeper aspects of it, different stories, different angles of leadership. Why leadership? Because in network marketing, there's really 3 levels. There's retail, getting a customer to customer, and then there is the business part, or sponsoring, training another recruit to do the same thing. So you help them build their business, get that residual income. And then the 3rd level really is leadership, and this is an advanced higher level where you take your whole team to training them to be leaders. So this is replicating or duplicating that leadership so that it goes on without you, the ultimate residual income model, right? But also it's to pass on a legacy, to help people grow personally, and all the wonderful things. We grow personally. We help our people, our teams to grow. I'm not in a network marketing company myself. I'm a dedicated generic coach. But I love the personal growth, the leadership principles, and how it has made me and everyone in the class who says makes them a better person. So that is on Wednesday night, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, same format, 90 minutes each week. And then it's recorded. We turn off that recording and have open coaching again with a discussion about the book as well. So that is the two main classes. There'll be more coming in the school, but these are the two main classes that we have right now. And so some of you are in that class, some of you are new and don't know about that. That's why I'm describing it in more in depth tonight. If you'd like more information about it, just message me. I'll send you a link, or you can find it in the Facebook group, or you can find it in your email that you got when you joined. And you are entitled to a discount to that class because you're already in the Quick Start Basis class, so we subtract that from the regular tuition. So you are welcome to that. Now, Jeff and I also teach a class for the public on leadership, on John Maxwell's book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And we do that Monday through Friday on a Facebook Live or on Jeff's or my page, connected with the Facebook group, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. This is a 30-minute weekday show at noon Eastern Time, and people just love this class. They're popping on, bringing friends. It's quite active over there, so you may like to join us for this too. It's a place where you pop in or out, bring a friend, and there is a free ebook that you can get to follow along with that. Over at the Facebook group, MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. That's a free book open to the public. When you join, then you have the opportunity to receive a free ebook to follow along. You can scroll down and find all the replays. Again, you can invite your team and you can invite friends to that Facebook group. So we are glad to present that. Now, it has been, on June 18th will be our year anniversary of doing all of this. Both in June, we began school as it is now. I have run the school for 10 years, actually. There's some students that have been in here 10 years because they love it. But it was a year ago that Jeff came on as a co-teacher because he showed me something that he was doing, the favor, script, and method, and other things that are just the best I've ever seen in network marketing. So I said, oh my gosh, I have to, I'm obligated to myself and to my students to present the best. Would you come and teach? So he did, just generously, and donated. And then it ended up that we're teaching together here. So you get the best from a person who's actually active in the field now and has recruited over 500 people frontline, done over 10,000 personal presentations. It's 24 years in network marketing and direct sales. So you get Jeff and you get me, who has been a body-mind therapist for 30 years. And as Olga said today, I like you because you have been in network marketing and you're a therapist. Not many people have both of those well down. So we have both of our skills. We have a lot of network marketing. We have break through the blocks, the negative beliefs, the fear. So tonight, actually, I'm going to talk a bit about that, about the idea of commitment, being here a year from now. So, yes, so we teach the weekday noon Eastern Time leadership shows, free Facebook Lives. Since we've been doing it a year now, we're celebrating this month with that by teaching. We're going to be starting tomorrow the Think and Grow Rich book. So there's 15 chapters. We're going to be covering a chapter or so every actually there's 15 chapters in 20 some days, so we're going to have to work that out. But we will be covering Think and Grow Rich for all of June to celebrate our year of doing the MLM Lunchtime Leadership shows. And to celebrate doing this school, we're going to be having an open house on July 7th, sorry. That is a Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And it is going to be a really fun open house. We're going to have a book giveaway of one of John Maxwell's books, or bunches of them, to people who register and who also attend. So this is something that you can join in, that you can bring your friends and your team even to. A lot of people in the school are bringing their team to these classes because they want help. They want our support. in training their team, and their team gets to hear another voice besides ours. So this open house would be the perfect intro to that. It's like our open house, you know, like you have one for your company. This is our open house that you can bring a friend, team member to. And so there's going to be a book giveaway. There's going to be some really, really good tips. We're going to introduce to them the favor script and the favor method so that they can begin using that right away, whether or not they ever join. They'll get some really valuable stuff. So that will be Sunday, July 7th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. It lasts an hour. Open house. We'll be posting about that in our private Facebook group that y'all are a member of, the MLM Millionaire Club. And I'm telling you about a lot of fun things tonight. One more fun thing is on Tuesday, we'd also do a Facebook Live every week at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And we cover one of the aspects of this school. That, again, is for the public. It's to give them a sample of the school, and it's something that you can join in or invite and bring people to. The topic this coming Tuesday is kind of an interesting one. It's why you don't have a team. Last Tuesday, we did one for how to get your team to produce, but there's people that don't even have a team yet, so we're doing a Facebook Live for them too, why you don't have a team and how to get one. So that will be fun. Okay, so I've already told you about Jeff and me. I'm going to tell you about the 10 core commitments, the foundations that we have been tried and true over decades to build your business in network marketing. So every week we take one of these, we teach one of these 10 core commitments. And here's the 10. Number 1, get started right. Number 2, be here a year from now, which we're doing tonight. That's the topic tonight. Number 3, personal development. Number 4, market daily. That's using the invite script. And number 5, present daily. That would be using the 10-minute presentation. Number 6, attend a weekly presentation. That would be like an open house for your company. Number 7, attend a weekly core training. When you come to these, you're doing number 7, that weekly core training. This is it, core commitments. Number 8, attend a monthly regional. Number 9, attend all company conventions. And number 10, create a monthly massive action plan. So that would be your strategy. Once we complete all 10 of these, we have a recap. And then we start over. We've been doing this for a year. Why? Because repetition is the mother of success. We hope that y'all watch this and attend either the live class or the replay until you get good enough to teach it yourself. And then you can come on and join us, or teach your team, or both. And then some of you are starting to do that. Some of you are starting to get that good after a year of doing this now. Once you complete all 10, we have a certificate for you. And a teacher told me the other day, oh, I love that. I love that. One of our new members, Anne, she loves the certificate because it helps people know where they are and have something to shoot for and to celebrate their work. So we, when you have attended all 10 live or watch the replays for those, then message Jeff, I'll say, because he is issuing those certificates. And so when you completed level 1, let him know. When you're on to number 2, let him know, or 3. There's actually some of our members working on level 4 right now. So we're real proud of you for doing that, and celebrate with you. So there are actually 10 certificates in all. But every class is different. We cover different angles, different aspects, different stories from our experience and others, and we bring that to each class. So each one is different, but yet it drills and goes deeper into the 10 core commitments. You'll want to grab pen and paper because usually there's so much coming your way, and some people hear the replays a couple times too. So let's dive right in, and I'll turn this over to you, Jeff.
Beth, since you said you already had a list of things, why don't you just take the first part? We're at 9:22,
right.
So we'll split that up.
All right. Would you like to divide, or how much time would you like me to leave you for sure?
Do you want, what is this?
We'll just get going. You could message.
Okay. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay, we'll play this for you. Okay. Also would like to welcome Andrew, who's popped on. And I think we did welcome everybody here. So awesome. Okay, so be here a year from now. I'm going to turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. Forgot to do that. Is about commitment and long-range vision. Okay, now we're safe from my phone. So, be here a year from now really means don't ever quit. It's not really about just a year, you know, unless you renew that every year. So, one time Eric Worre went to this event and he talked. I think he was just a brand new person. Eric Worre, by the way, is the #1 network marketing teacher in the world, and a dear, dear man. He's a friend, a good friend for about 8 years now, and he has a great vision that has greatly served this profession, helped to raise the bar a whole lot. He has the largest generic events for network marketers in the world and is the most sought after speaker in the world. But when he was new, he went to an event and he happened to be able to speak one-to-one with one of the top earner speakers out in the hall. And he said, what's the secret to really succeeding in this profession? And the guy opened the door and he said, look, Eric, look at these people. Look how many people are in the room. And then he said, next year, only half of them are going to be here. And Eric was like, what? He said, that's the stickability. And the year after that, only half of those people are going to be here. And the year after that, only half of those people are going to be here. But those are the ones who keep coming back who are going to make it. So that's all you have to do, Eric, is keep coming back. Just keep coming back. That was a company convention, I believe. So Eric took that. I mean, that really, really soaked in and went into him. And he realized that it's just about keep coming back. You know, come back a year from now and do it again and again and again and again. We know in network marketing that the top earners that I know that are the most successful, like Jeff Roberti, been in his company almost 30 years, something like that, and Alan Pariser, same thing. These people have huge, huge teams. Some people I know have over 1 million people on their teams, 500,000. But how did that happen? How did that happen? There was a tipping point at some point. They had to work their butts off in the beginning, right? There's a lot of footwork, a lot of talking, a lot of mistakes made, a lot of discouragement faced. Nobody at the pinnacle of success ever got there without wanting to quit 1 million times on the average or so. Brian Carruthers said, there's just about every day I've wanted to quit. He's a top earner in his company, has brought in 10 recruits at least a month for 10 years. He's the most consistent recruiter that I've known for that long, and has gone for that long and that consistently. And he said that there's every day I feel like quitting. So why don't they? And notice that the ones who stay on the longest, they have the opportunity to build the deepest, just like a tree. If you go plant a tree and you pull it up every week, how deep a roots is it going to get? And how great of a trunk is it going to get? And how many branches will it send out? And how many leaves? And how many flowers? And how many fruits is it going to send out if you pull it up every week? Or start a new company every year? You don't have a chance to go deep. And you don't have... there might be valid reasons for some people to quit companies. I have. Didn't feel right to me. I found things that were against my policies. I've actually quit 4 companies. My full-time one was my first one, and I went full-time with that for years. Helped me to raise my son as a single mom until my company went out of business. But I went deep in that one. future companies, I found things that did not feel right. Plus, I realized my calling is to coach network marketers, not to be in a company, because that would divide my attention. I'm to be a therapist, a helper, a teacher. So following my calling here. But I quit those companies before I realized this coaching alone was my calling. So it happens. You don't want to stay where it's not right for you, or where you don't. It goes against your values for sure. But if you can find a good company that is mostly alignment with your values, just like a marriage, I think you could have negotiables and non-negotiables. You don't want to quit at the first sign of something that you don't like there, and you don't want to stay in something that goes too much against your values. So know what you can bend with and put up with, what you can negotiate about, and what you can't, what you just have to leave for. So every company is going to have pros and cons, because they're all human. They're made of humans, right? So, but we do want to commit, just like some people don't like to use that analogy, but I like to use the analogy of a commitment that you would give anything, including a marriage. There's going to be problems, but you work things out in communication. But when you stick and stay in a reasonably good company, there's going to be growth. You face the growth because you grow. You face the challenges and you embrace them because of the growth that you get. Not the ideas that, well, how can I find the easiest path in life, but what path will make me grow the most? And as John Maxwell said recently in an excerpt that I read from his latest book for network marketers called The Power of Five, this is the first time that John Maxwell has written a book for any specific industry. And he was impressed with network marketers, because when he would speak at corporate events, he realized that they were told to be there, but when he spoke at network marketing events, he liked that because the people volunteered to be there or even paid good money to be there and see him. So he came out with this book especially for network marketers. And he said, you ask yourself these 4 questions, but then he summarized it in a final question. Will it make you a better person? That alone is a good reason to stay, let alone the money, the residual income, the depth that you can bring in, that you can cash in on your experience. So will it make you a better person? That would be a question, actually, that I like. What will you gain by staying in this challenge, if you're facing a challenge in your company or in network marketing or in your skills or anything like that? And we, of course, we help with all the skills and the mindset. But if it's your company or challenge you, and you decide to stay, what will you gain by meeting this challenge? And on the flip side, what will you gain if you walk away from it? I just love that question. What will you gain? Not will it be easier, is it too hard? And you could say that of any challenge in life. Being a coach and a therapist, I have to say that that's what life is supposed to do to us. It's supposed to challenge us. It's supposed to get us to grow. It's not here to be easy, and if it gets hard, we'll say, well, I'm taking my ball and I'm going to go home. I'm not going to play this game anymore. I don't like it anymore. It's not easy anymore. So we embrace the challenges, we expect them, and we embrace them, and we see how we can learn from them. And I'll give some clues and some tips about that in a little bit. But an arrow must be drawn back. They say a setback is really, a drawback is really a setup for a comeback. So if we can embrace the lessons and know that we are in training. If you've just joined a network marketing business, then you're going to feel green until you get your legs under you, until you get better at it. If you've been in a network marketing business already for a while, you know how much you know now than 4 years ago when you joined. You know, it's a heck of a lot more, but there's always a learning curve. What Jeff and I are doing here, or not trying, we're doing, is we're shortening that learning curve for you, because you've got 24 years of network marketing experience, direct sales, and Eric Worre has, he brought his 20-some years, and he has brought these people who have been in a long time and are teachers, bring in the shortcuts that they've eventually learned, or not shortcuts, but the best, most direct, efficient ways so that it can shortcut your journey. That is our goal, to make it easier for you and simpler and faster and better than without the help of these mentors. And even of all of Eric's methods, which I taught before I got to know Jeff better. I met Jeff over on Eric Worre's page, and they used to teach out of Eric's book, the GoPro book, where he covers the 7 skills, and he has scripts in there, including indirect scripts. Well, Jeff's is my favorite over any of that, because Jeff's is super, super indirect, and it's just asking people a favor, which I'll say it real quick. You all know it, but if you text 10 friends or family, hey, can I ask you a big favor? I want to let you know what I do in case you run across the right person. You can refer them to me. Is this a good time? And one of our students, David Peters, even likes to add on just looking for referrals, make the person at ease and all that. So we found that this is the best way to not be discouraged in network marketing and be able to stay, and to train your team to be able to stay, using these methods, because they're so simple and they work the best, easiest, fastest of any that I've ever seen. So you want to impress on your new recruit when they sign up, and at every single meeting that every phone call that you have with them, every meeting for prospects, you want to impress upon them to not quit. And you can even let them know, hey, you're going to get discouraged. You're going to run across people who say, you're in what? You can make them immune to discouragement up front when you let them know that there's likely that there's people that they're going to run into when they find out it's network marketing, and they're going to put you down, maybe even your parents or your mate. But actually with this script, we don't get objections. We never get, is this network marketing, is this a pyramid scheme? Because you're not even mentioning that. All you're doing is asking the person for a favor to listen to what you do. And they don't say, was it network marketing, because you haven't even talked about that. But they simply hear what you do, which is selling a product and training other people to sell that product or service. That's all you're doing. It's that simple. So actually the objections don't come up about network marketing, but if somebody does find out, there could be prejudice about it, or misinformation, or stigma that they might run up against. They might get discouraged by their own they might have to learn how to do the script, how to do their 10-minute presentation in a way that carries their enthusiasm. They might have to learn not to make it sound boring. They might have to learn some personal growth skills in there too. So while this happens, let them know that this is like doing on-the-job training, and it's free. Usually for a career, you pay $30 to $60 or $100,000 to go to school and learn that career first before you do it. So a lot of people take 4 years to get good at their chosen field, whereas in network marketing, we're encouraging people to go out and try the script right away. So let them know that there's a learning curve. Don't expect immediate success, but that could also happen too. So we want to impress on people the long-range vision. Think long range, stay in this long range, don't quit right away. But here's some things, some reasons that people might quit. And if you found yourself saying some of these things to yourself, maybe write them down and ask, is this true? Is this true? And some of the things that you might hear is from yourself, from your own inner talk, or from your front line that maybe want to quit, from your team. They might say, well, this is hard, and it's simple, but it might not be easy for them. We do make it as easy as possible with that favor script, but some people say, well, this is hard, or it takes too long, or something's wrong with me, or others can do it, but I can't. Or it's not worth it. It's not worth the work. I'm used to a paycheck. I'm used to getting paid money per hour. And in network marketing, I've already put in 100 hours, and I've only made $20. I don't think this is going to work out. Well, you have to educate yourself or that new team member that in network marketing, it works like this. You get paid very little up front for all the work you do. Then it starts to come back to you. Then you start getting paid for the work you do. And then if you keep going, there's a tipping point that you reach where you get paid very, very, very well for the work you do, to where it's ridiculous how much money you make for as little time as you put in, because you paid it up front. You paid the price up front. And you didn't give up, and you believed in the vision, and you watched the people in your company and believed that if they could make it, that anyone can, and that they're no better than you, no smarter, no better looking, no better connected, and they made it, and that you can too. So there's that belief up front that you have to weather through the low return on your income, on your effort, the low return on your effort, until you start reaching that tipping point where you start seeing the return, and then later the reward is a much, much greater return of residual income, and it grows exponentially. So you have to let your new team member know that, and to remind yourself, where am I on that hill? Am I still going uphill, where, I'm not seeing a lot of return come back yet? And by the way, okay, or am I getting close to the top? Or am I, down the other side where it's easy now, because that momentum is now created and carrying me past that tipping point? So this is a different business model than a dollar per hour. This takes a maturity, being willing to delay gratification. Remember, you can tell a child's maturity by offering him 1 cookie now or 3 cookies in 5 minutes. So we delay that gratification, but make sure that on the way up that hill, you're doing at least that 2 to 5 presentations a day, or you won't reach that tipping point. So it isn't just staying in. That isn't just enough. It's being productive, or doing your at least two presentations a day to new people that will get you to the tipping point. So those are really the 2 things that you need, is the activity and the longevity, the consistent activity and the longevity to get you there. So if people say, this is too hard, it takes too long, or you hear this from your team members, I thought it would be easier. I thought I would be like just winning the lottery. I thought all I had to do was just sign up, and then, I'd find my 5 who find 5 and 5. But I found my 5, but they all quit, or they're not doing anything. And so teach them that it is a numbers game, that 5 to 10% over time will be active and be builders, and that you will know who those are. They will sort themselves out over time, and you need to give 80% of your time and attention to the top 20% of your team, and let them know that this is just the way it is. It requires maturity. If it didn't, we'd be like little mice in a rat experiment, in a lab experiment, where they train them by giving them a reward for everything that they want to do. Well, society's done that with jobs. They train us by making us lazy and go to sleep, and, well, I'm not going to do anything unless I get paid per hour for this thing. Yep, well, you do that, and you're going to keep getting stuck at that pay of per hour business model, rather than the residual income and the exponential income that comes when you have your own business and then multiply. Because the pay per hour, you just add up, every hour in your paycheck, and every 2 weeks you get the paycheck and all that. Whereas the network marketing model, it grows exponentially the longer that you're in it. And the longer that you stay in it, the more you get paid per hour that you put in. It might just be nothing in the beginning, or a few dollars per hour for all your effort when you look at your monthly check or your retail income or something. But the longer that you stay in it, the more, if you keep track, you'll see that the more you get paid per hour that you put in. And the goal is to stay in there till you get that tipping point. So this is just a different business model. And what do you want? You want 1 cookie now and get paid per hour? Or do you want 3 cookies later? Or 3,000 cookies a liter. So when people say it's too hard, takes too long, not worth it, not cut out for this, they have the choice of becoming more mature and thinking long range, or quitting and staying where they are in their life status and staying with that dollar per hour model, which Robert Kiyosaki explains in his business quadrants, the 4 quadrants of the employee. They could stay an employee. And the self-employed person might not be too much better off than that, but when you get into residual income like network marketing, it's worth it, you guys, in the long run. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And I don't know of another business model that pays better, has a greater return on investment. Network marketing has the greatest return on investment of any business in the world. And it's not perfect, it has a lot of faults. And there's people in it that are not perfect and have a lot of faults. But the business model is the best one that any of us have ever seen. And the top economic experts say the same thing. It has the best return on investment of any business in the world. So if somebody wants to quit, if you ever feel like quitting, ask yourself, where am I going to go? Yeah, you may change companies or something, but where am I going to go from here? Internet marketing is harder, you guys, a lot harder. David Fry, a friend who is a multi-millionaire and is both has made millions in both network marketing and internet marketing, says the dollar made in internet marketing is not the same. It's a much harder dollar to get, much harder dollar to make than in network marketing, where everything's done for you. The company's already done the research, the scientific formulation of the product, they've packaged it, they ship it to you, they take care of all the legal stuff and all of the comp plans and all the stuff, and all you have to do is be a rep for it. That's it, and a trainer of the reps. That's it. That's it. So where are you going to go if you quit this? If you quit network marketing, where are you going to go? I encourage people for the same reason to stay in the school, to be here a year from now. There are a few of our students in the school who have opted for the year-long plan, and they got a discount for doing that. That's available to everyone, by the way. If you're still paying $25 a month, you can get 30% off if you be here a year from now, if you commit and be here a year from now. Because when you go on that website, anyone can join for $200 a year, which is 30% off of the $25 a month. So if you're thinking long range, if you like to save money, if you commit, I like the commitment of the folks in here who have gotten the year plan, because they are committing to be here a year from now in this class too, and they're committing mostly to themselves. They have given themselves that commitment. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to let's see, how many times can we go through this in 12 months? It takes about, they can go through this about 4 to 6 times over a year of the 10 core commitments. But more than that, I expect they're going to renew every year. Again, you can have that savings plan. So if anyone wants to do that, you can go to the MLMMillionaireClub.com/basics and get the 1-year plan. You'll need to cancel the one you're on and get the 1-year plan so that you too can commit to being here a year from now. Okay, so other things that you might hear from your own inner voice, your own mind, or from your team members saying, this is some things I've heard as a coach too. Well, I get discouraged because everyone's already seen it in my town. Everyone's already seen it. So what you can do about this negative self-talk is you can ask yourself, is this true? Has everyone already seen it, or is that just a complaining inner voice that you might have? Has everyone in the world already seen your product or your service? Probably not. Some people want to quit because it's slow, or they have to put in the work, and they just wish for something quicker. There was one man that I coached that he said, Bess, what is the, a bunch of top earners network marketing. He said, what is the thing that top earners are doing that they're not telling everybody? I said, they're doing the basics just like I taught you to do. You know, you go out and present to 2 people, at least 2 to 5 people a day, and you follow up with them, and you sign them up, and you get them started right, and then you get them to events. And he goes, no, 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 there must be something that they're doing. All these top earners, I just know there's something that they're all doing that they're not telling us what it is, and I'm going to find it out. I said, good, go find that out. And I'm sure that what he found out was the same thing that I was telling him. But I don't know if he stayed in network marketing or not. I think he really wanted something quicker and, you know, that magic bullet, that bright, shiny object or that thing. And that's why some network marketers can quit. They can get discouraged from following the bright, shiny objects or the ClickFunnels or things like that take money and time and energy and effort to do and takes them away from their 2-a-day prospecting. And if they don't work, they lose money on it, they get discouraged, and it's not duplicatable. That's the whole thing in network marketing. It's not just internet marketing. That might work for internet marketing, but for network marketing, we have to only do what's duplicatable. So using that favor script and teaching your team to do that is so simple. And there's some people that are on tonight that have just joined this week that when I told them what we do with the favor script, they said, this is doable. This is easy. This is doable. And you guys have made it simple. So you teach your team the favor script, you write your 10-minute presentation, teach your team, or you bring them on here. So we've eliminated all of that. The discouragement that some people have from going, you know, finding a harder method or from following the bright, shiny objects. One fellow that I coached, he said, well, he was a former student, and I called him back, and he said, well, I'm no longer in network marketing. He said, I lost a leg to the Philippines, and it just killed me. I just absolutely lost all my hope because I lost a whole leg, and I quit, and I'm never coming back in network marketing. And I had my doubts because once people taste it, they get the bug and they want to come back. But he was discouraged for now. I wouldn't be surprised if he eventually got back in. But he gave up hope after one setback. It was a huge setback. I don't know how many legs he had. Maybe he lost half his team or more. But he just said, that just destroyed me. That just killed me, killed my spirit and killed my hope for anything. So that can wipe out a person. That can make them not, stay in and want to quit. Recently, a network marketing company went from a residual income model or multi-level income model, residual income, down to direct sales. And those people, some of them simply are still loving the products and selling it, but some of them went to another company. But everyone had a different reaction. Why did some people quit and want to give up network marketing? Why did some want to stay and sell the products so they loved them? Why did some people say, I will rebuild elsewhere? What's the difference in that? It's that resilient spirit who believes they can rebuild. Eric Worre himself rebuilt 8 times from the ground floor. There's a story of a Tibetan saint named Milarepa, and he had some karma to work off because he was not a good person at some point in his life. And he went to a spiritual teacher. This teacher said, I'm going to help him, work off this karma. So he had him build a house of stone, and it took a long, long time to build this house. He finally got it built. His teacher said, okay, now tear it down and move it over there a few yards. Move it over to this location. So because he wanted to get that spiritual unfoldment, he did all that. And he knew, it took him being humble. It took him being patient, being coachable. It took him being willing to rebuild again and again and again. So his spiritual teacher had him do that like 6 times or something like that, 4 to 6 times or something like that. And it was backbreaking and, scraped him, and he had bruises, and each time, it was a cost to his body to do all this, but he did that for the growth that he got from rebuilding. some friends. When I used to live in San Diego 30 years, and there was about 5 or 10 years in there when we had a lot of fires. At one time, I had packed up. I was on the edge of one of those fires that were coming, from the inland toward the coast, and I was on the edge of that. My car was packed, and I was ready to go. If we were just on the edge, I was ready to leave my home. Ends up I didn't have to. But about 6 of my friends did lose their homes, different locations in San Diego and East San Diego. Different friends had different reactions. My friends were all into personal growth, but one of them was my favorite. This couple and 4 children who we did homeschooling together, our families were homeschooled together. Their reaction was my favorite, and they were a role model to me. So they lose their home, and they said, we will rebuild. This is forcing us to have a clean slate and a fresh start. Now, a lot of people who lost their homes, they said the worst part of that, the greatest price, was losing the pictures of their children, the photos of when their children were little. That was the greatest loss. These people said, well, this forces us to relate to our children in the present, not as they were, but as they are now. And I just loved it. They did. They actually rebuilt. They actually kind of created a real estate empire and went to Austin and bought a bunch of houses there, like 6 or 8 houses or something like that. So they rebuilt better, learned better. So when a setback happens in network marketing, whether our company goes out of business, whether our company changes comp plans, whether we lose a leg to the Philippines, whether our company gets back ordered, what are other discouragements that people can have in network marketing? Our upline quits. Our upline turns out to be not supportive for us. We don't have the help that we want. We find out that someone we look to has clay feet. In other words, they're human. We lose our hope in them. Following someone. So there can be a lot of different kinds of setbacks in network marketing. But is that going to make us quit? Or will we find another avenue? Will we find another way to go? Will we rebuild like the people with the houses? We want to become immune to no-shows, immune to discouragement. If you throw a party and nobody comes, if you hold a meeting, there was a network marketer who drove like 6 hours to a meeting because one of his first people that they signed up said, oh, I got like 12 people coming to this meeting. Will you drive over here, to this town and do a presentation? And he gets there and nobody shows up. So he's exhausted. I think he drives all night. I think if I drove all night, I can just get back for work in the morning. So he has no sleep. He's going to work with no sleep at all. And he's just trying to get through the day with coffee and everything. And then a front line, I think it's his cousin, calls up and said, hey, my dad has 10 people coming over to this back room that he rented out of a bar tonight, and they want to have a presentation. Can you do it? And they're about 4 hours away. So he's exhausted, but he feels exhilarated, and you think, okay, this sounds really good. So he drives over there on no sleep and gets there and find out that nobody shows up there either. So he's exhausted. He has to work again in the morning, no sleep. He didn't give up, though. He became a multimillionaire. He kept going. That was his beginning discouragements in network marketing. So we want to become immune to the no's, like, no, I'm not interested in this, to the no-shows. We want to become immune to the politics in network marketing. Some people make it very hard for other people to be in there. They'll start spreading negative things about them, or even lies, or gossiping about them, and it makes you want to quit, right? Those are some of the things. You think, gosh, I don't want to be around this kind of stuff. But remember, there's negativity in every job. What other profession are you going to find that doesn't have some And can you gain something by meeting that challenge? And what will you gain if you walk away from it? Discouragement means, well, if you cut the DIS off encouragement, courage is not the absence of fear, but it's what we do in the face of fear. And when you're discouraged, you're cutting off your courage. Coeur means heart. I think it's French for the word for heart. And so it means, courage. You have the heart. You have the heart to go forward. And discouragement is when we lose our heart. But courage is not doing something in the absence of fear. It's doing what you do in the face of fear. I remember there was a time in my life when I was shaking to move forward. I was so scared to move forward. I thought, it's okay, Beth, shake. You can shake. Go forward anyway while you're shaking. You can still move forward while you're shaking. Remember your why. Some tips. Remember your why. That'll help to get you through the obstacles. Maybe it's your kids. Maybe it's making a difference in the world. Maybe it's being a role model for your kids, or providing a better life for your family, or being able to leave a legacy. Listen to your inner guidance, not your inner past voices. Be consistent. Take a look at the 10 core. Which are you good at and which are you weak in? Remember to keep people on your list. If a prospect says no now, they might say no. They might say yes 10 years from now. There was a fellow who met with one of his business associates every year for, I think, 7 years. They had coffee, and every year he said, ready to get in network marketing? Ready to get in my business? And the person said no, 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 no. I think the 7th year he said yes. And he made him, he became a multimillionaire in network marketing. So in other words, don't write people off. Be patient. Realize that they need to, they might need time to get to high noon. A friend of mine used to be in Amway, and he said Holton Buggs was like, oh yeah, he said Holton Buggs was on my team. Holton Buggs is one of the highest paid network marketers in the world now. But Holton said it took me 16 years to become an overnight success. And my friend James said, oh yeah, I was in Amway. I remember Holton. He was like 30 levels down from me. He never did a thing. So realize that don't give up on people. Be patient. Never write anybody off. Wait. It was Nitin Noria, the dean of Harvard Business School, that said, enduring setbacks while maintaining the ability to show others the way to go forward is a true test of leadership. Enduring the setbacks while still leading is a true test. Another tip is to see yourself there. See yourself where you want to go. If you get discouraged and you think, I'll never get there, that's your picture. I'll never get there. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I don't have what it takes. It's not going to be worth my time and energy. That's your picture. That's what you're going to create. Remember that what you focus on is a camera, and it will produce what it looks at. When Eric Worre stood on his stage at GoPro and there were 16,000 people in attendance, that was about after 8 or so years of building his events. From the first one, there was like 100 people came. The second one, there was like 200. And the next one I went to, there was like 400 people there. I remember that. Next year, there was like 800. But on the average or so, every year it doubled till it got to 16,000. So he stood on the stage and someone said, Eric, did you ever think that it would get this big? And he said, of course I did. How do you think it happened? I saw it, and I stuck it through. And I kept doing the events and events and events, and of course he lost money in the beginning, but he believed in his vision. He saw this happening, and he kept weathering through the losses, or the small ones, until it grew big enough. He saw that. Of course I saw it, he said. So remember that that's what we need to do too. See yourself where, not where you are now, but where you know you will take yourself, and stay in long enough for that. Reason to be here a year from now. Just heard the story this week of a man who spent $400,000 to fight cancer. He ran out of money, and he's still fighting for his life, and now he has no more money. Then there was a father who was in a care home for 3 years and ate the entire life savings of his wife and him before he passed away. So it left his widow with no savings. People have been in corporate. I've tried out other, what other profession is there? They've burned out. There's a doctor. She burned out because, the cost to become a doctor, and then how many patients you had to see to try to pay off that loan when the insurance companies are trying to pay out less and less and less. There's so many devastating examples of people who people who ate up their life savings, people who couldn't afford to have an operation to save a life or to save their child's life or something like that. These are all reasons, when you look at the financial devastation that can happen, for people to be here a year from now and to stay in. I better let you hear from another voice and hear Jeff now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome, guys. So my perspective from being able to, the purpose of Be Here a Year from now is a couple layers deep. The first purpose is just be able to learn the skill set we're talking about. It's going to take you over a year. It will take over a year to learn the skill set, and one of the three things that Think and Grow Rich talks about, one of them is being humble and teachable. So if you're not humble and teachable, it's actually impossible to be able to build this long term, because there's always something new that will come up, a new idea, a new word, a new way to do this. So just looking at, the basic human needs of most people. If you look at the basic human needs of most people, it starts out with the basics itself. You're basically looking to get involved with people that have the basics taken care of. Food, water, shelter. You're looking to get involved with people that have that part of things, that part of life done. If you've ever been around people who do not have the basics of life covered, typically what happens is they're people who are in trouble. They're both in trouble financially, they're in trouble usually emotionally, spiritually, and they're in trouble mentally, because it's something that's constantly on their mind. Where am I going to stay? How am I going to eat? Where's the money coming from? Your next level is going to be safety and security. And safety and security, period, do I know that I have some money put away? The very first thing Dave Ramsey, not that this is the Dave Ramsey show, but one of the first things that he says to do is be able to save $1,000. And, that's not necessarily the only thing you need to do. And I'm not necessarily, a huge supporter of his, but I do believe that he's right. You need to put a little bit of money away. And what that does is that gives you that first basic cushion of, if something happens, if the tire falls off a car, if the heat goes out, I can fix things. And that provides a certain level of safety and security. The next level up is belonging. Belonging. And that's where network marketing really, that's the target market that you're looking for to bring on board, is people who kind of have the first two layers basically layered out, layered, and they're looking for the top three things. They're looking for belonging. They're looking for goal setting and being able to achieve things, and they're looking for helping other people. And this is actually Maslow's hierarchy that I'm actually, talking about. But one thing that I learned from Simon Sinek is he said a leader's job is to provide safety and security for his team and his organization. I'm going to use the word team inside of direct sales. I would say organization if we were talking to, a company of people. So we're talking about a mentality and a language that you're basically constantly using to influence your team with. Now, if your language is as follows, well, if this thing doesn't work, or, I hope this happens, there's a lot of different words people use that basically strike fear in people. And here's the thing, they don't even know they're saying it, and they're saying it while they're presenting the opportunity to people. Well, the last thing, it really didn't work, and this and that other thing. Here's just a rule of thumb. If you want to be in network marketing long term, don't ever talk about anything that fell apart. Ever. Don't ever bring it up. Never. Under any circumstances, under any terms. When somebody comes at me and says, oh my gosh, my company just fell apart and this, that, and the other thing, talking about something that fell apart always points backwards in the past. If you focus in the past, if you look at positively versus negatively, if you look at depression versus, having a positive outlook on life, depression is usually looking backwards. Negativity is usually looking backwards, not necessarily looking forward. So I help people focus on a forward position always. You can't look in two directions at once. I can't look, due east and due west at the same time. I can look forward, though. So the more you're turning around to look at what happened and why it happened and what should have happened, the less you're pointing in the right direction. Now, it doesn't mean that in therapy you can't look back and fix something. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm talking about in business, you're not talking about it. You don't hear Microsoft, Apple, you don't hear the top companies in the world ever talk about everything else that's crashing around them. It never even comes up. Do you know why it never comes up? Because they're so focused on the mission of what they're doing, they don't have time to talk about the crap that's to the outside. I just heard a really interesting quote by a guy, and this actually comes from a very funny person of all, but he said, do you think Michael Jordan leaves YouTube comments? And this gentleman was actually interviewing Kevin Hart, and this is Joe Rogan. He's actually a martial artist and a speaker and has a podcast. His podcast has on all kinds of famous people. And he goes, do you think Michael Jordan actually, leaves YouTube comments? And the answer was, of course, no, because people who are really successful and focused on what they're doing don't have time to research and talk about all this crap that's going on the outside. They're focused on what they're doing. Now, let's bring this kind of home into network marketing. If you don't plan on being here next month, next week, next year, it's going to come out in your language. And if you want to recruit people, recruiting is a transfer of belief. That's what recruiting is. Recruiting is a transfer of belief. Sales is a transfer of belief. But I kind of consider sales here and recruiting off the chart up here. It actually is a much higher level of sales. Because not only are you getting them in, you're bringing them onto a team. Not only are you selling them a product, you're asking them to join something. So it's a much higher level of sales. Therefore, one of the things you have to do is you have to be able to give that belief that this is going to be around and you're going to be around come hell or high water. I don't care what happens. I don't care what goes on. This is what I'm doing. And the best people in the industry, that's basically what they've had to do. They're like, this is it, that's it, period. I'm here. And if you look at the guys who have made money, the biggest amounts of money, okay? So there are people who have made more money in a month than some of the leadership that's been around forever, but rarely to never will you ever see, you'll never see the guys that have been, the guys that are at the top cumulative, they haven't switched companies. Not the guys that have cumulative. All the cumulative people that are in the top 20, 30, I think it's even 50 because I actually read the list and I was like, nobody here in the top 50 was in and out of a company in 20 years. They were always with the same company 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So it's like if you want dynasty, if you want long term, you're talking about being there for a long time. Now I say that with this in mind, there are companies that don't stick around for you. So I say this with, if you're a recruiter long-term, period. You know, that's what I do. I'm a recruiter. So there are people that have looked for the right company, and they've gone from company to company to company looking for the good fit, the right fit for them. because they are a recruiter. I'm going to give you an example. If I'm a programmer and I work at Microsoft and Apple offers me twice as much money, then I should go to Apple, almost without a doubt, if they're offering me twice as much money to do the same thing, program. Now, nobody in their right mind is going to look at that person and be like, you're unloyal, you're unfaithful, you're on this, you're on that. Why? Because when we look at it as a job, you're getting paid more. We don't look at an NFL player in most cases. We don't look at an NBA player in most cases. We don't look at a famous, soccer player. Just recently, Cristiano Ronaldo left Real Madrid because his contract was basically open, and another team bought him, so the best player in the world got transferred to Juventus. There were people who were upset that he left, but nobody said, oh my gosh, you're so unloyal and this, that, and the other thing. Nobody said you should have married that team forever. Now, there are some guys that is how they talk, and they say, hey, I married this team, this is where I'm staying, I don't care what they're paying me. Usually those guys have gotten paid more money than anybody has in history that will say that. Let's face it. You don't see the guy making $17,000 a year going, that's it, I'm staying forever, I don't care what they pay me. I say that because there have been some guys at one point. There was a funny story where David Beckham was actually playing for L.A. And in L.A., when he had transferred over, David Beckham was making somewhere north of $50 million a year, and his teammate was making $17,000 a year. They're like, why didn't they play well together? He's like, if you made $17,000 and he made $50 million, you wouldn't pass to him either. I kind of laughed. I'm like, yeah, that is kind of a good point. My point behind this is, yes, stay where you're at, but also figure it out. See, I wanted to figure out how this worked, so I had to attach myself to somebody who had figured it out, and I had to learn from them. And I've learned from several different people. I still learn from people in and outside the company that I'm in. Why? Because what it's done is it's given me a much wider perspective of the industry. But without a doubt, if you want to make it inside of a company, what do you have to do? You have to stick and stay. Now, here's why. The first thing you learn is the skill set. What is the skill set that it takes to bring somebody in the business? That's going to take a little while. For some people, it's easier. The reason it's easier is they figured this out and paid the price somewhere else. If you belong to some kind of volunteer organization, if you belong to some church organization, if you belong to some kind of club and you've already been responsible for recruiting, if you're a coach of a high school team, of a college team, of a recreational team, and you've been recruiting for a long time and you know what it takes to recruit, then doesn't it make sense? Won't it make sense that recruiting is just something that you do? They're going to come in and they're going to be able to recruit a little bit easier, a little bit faster. If they've been in a situation like a real estate company or an insurance company and they've already been recruiting there and they get into direct sales and network marketing, they're going to recruit a little bit faster because some of the skill set is already there. But Simon Sinek again said, your job is to provide safety and security. So think about this. If you're not committed to what you're doing for over a year and you're presenting, are you committed to going to the next event next week? You're not even talking about going next week. You're like, well, if everything works out, I might go next week. You're not even talking about the seminar next month. You don't have the ability to promote into the next seminar because in your mind, if it doesn't work by the end of the month, you're already out. So you're not going to do the things necessary to build your business, and that's going to come off in your presentation. That's going to come off in what you're putting on Facebook. That's going to come off in your language. It's going to come off in your body language. It's going to come off in your tonality, which once you learn the basics, what you're then going to pick up on is the stuff that I just went over, which is more the psychology and sales skills behind those skills, because just there's the skill set, and then there's a deeper level of skill sets that you'll learn. You'll learn personalities. You'll learn how people talk, how people think. You'll learn about, some people are visual, some people are auditory, some people are kinesthetic, and that sometimes deals with the personalities. A deeper level from there is if you learn people's history and drive. Everybody has a different motivation, so they're going to do things for a different reason. They're going to do things at a different speed based on their personality. A lot of times based on their age, they're going to do things at a different speed. Some people are like, I have to get this done right now. You'll typically see somebody younger jump in faster. You'll typically see somebody older kind of take a little bit more time to get going. But I found that the people who take a little bit longer to get going tend to stay around longer. Why? Because they understand commitment a little bit more, because they've been through so many other situations. Whereas if it doesn't work the first day for a 20-year-old, they're like, I'm out, I'm done. I tried it, I talked to 3 people, or I talked to 15 people online, where somebody who might have, years on them, maybe 20 years older than that, 40, 50, 60, they might go out and they might talk to 15 people their first month and then evaluate what they did. The speed at which they get going and the speed at which they make decisions. But if you look at Think and Grow Rich, he says, the successful people can make decisions very quickly and change their mind very seldomly, but unsuccessful people make decisions very quickly and change their mind all the time. I'm sorry, they make decisions very slowly, and they change their mind all the time. So they'll take 2 months to make a decision to get in. They'll finally get in and be like, okay, this was dumb, I shouldn't have done it, I'm not getting in. The unsuccessful person. The successful person is like, okay, this fits and aligns with what I'm doing. Why? Successful people know what their values are, they know what their morals are, they know what their schedule is, and I would rather work with a busy person than I would a non-busy person. Why? Because busy people know how to get stuff done. People who are not busy, who don't have anything going on, well, I don't have anything going on, that's not good. They have too much time on their hands, therefore usually they're very ineffective at everything they're doing. So you have weekly events, you have monthly events, you have quarterly events, you have yearly events. I know who I'm dealing with based on how far out their commitment is. I'm going to pick on somebody. You won't know who they are, but I know who they are. You know what? I had made some conversation, and somebody actually was part of my team and joined. And then right away they're like, yeah, I already bought tickets to that event. And I was like, oh. It just kind of showed me right away the commitment level of this particular person. I was like, they've already bought tickets to something that's months in advance. I know right away that that's somebody I can count on because they're thinking so much further ahead. They're going to have an easier time recruiting people because they're really in. They're just not talking about being in, but money's on the line, commitment's on the line. They see farther in the future, therefore it's going to be easier to attract people to what they're doing. And I was right. They were able to recruit people right away. So one of my mentors said, 1 ounce of doubt and you're out. 1 ounce of doubt. If people see 1 ounce of doubt, if people see that you already have an exit strategy, that you're not planning on sticking around, they're not joining you. And here's what's weird. It doesn't mean that they're not going to join the company or they don't like the product. They're just not joining you. So it's something really to think about. How committed are you to what you're doing, and how long are you going to be committed to what you're doing in your mind? What is your limit? Everybody has a limit. I mean, I have a limit. If I saw certain things happen, I'd be like, okay, that is my limit of what I'm able to take. I'm going to need to change direction, but I'm going to have to think very hard about it because it affects your income, it affects other people. Then it comes down to this. When you first get involved, and I think this is probably what we'll wrap up with because that's all the time we've got. When you first get involved, you're unconsciously incompetent about everything that's going on, which means you don't know what you don't know about what you don't know. You don't know that you need to know 10 things. You didn't know that. And you didn't even know that you didn't know that. So then all of a sudden somebody brings it to your attention that you're going to need to know these 10 things, and you're like, man, there's a lot of stuff to know. At first, what I found is when I tell somebody the 10 core, they're like, oh, yeah, that's easy. Oh, yeah, that's easy. And here's the problem. With whatever's easy to do, it's also easy not to do, and that's what makes it hard. That's what makes it hard. If it's easy not to do it, it's more difficult because there's not a lot of money on the line. I had some mentors in the very beginning that said, I wish network marketing cost $100,000 to get into because the commitment level would be so much higher people getting started. There'd be no thought at making a list of 100 people and talking to everybody your first month. Why? Because you have $100,000 on the line. I mean, let's just face it. If you put $100,000 on the line over 30 years, what would your payment be? Most of you know this already. If it's 6%, it'd be $600. At 7%, it'd be $700. At 8%, it'd be $800. What do you think a business loan at $100,000 is going to be? Probably on a 10-year note or less. You're probably going to have a $2,000 payment a month. So are you going to talk to everybody? Yeah, you are. How fast do you want to get out of that $2,000 payment? Immediately. But network marketing is a joke to get into. It's a joke. Like when people are like, I really don't have the money, the person I'm dealing with, I know right away, is not some, I mean, that's going to be that's a harder thing to overcome than understanding the business. Is if people see life at $8 an hour, everything's hard. 8, 10, 15, anything under, a certain amount, everything's hard. Why? Because if your expectation that that's all you can make and that's all you're worth, then your perspective of life is only like this far off the ground. It's only an inch off the ground. That's all the farther you can see. Let's face it, at $10, at $7, $8, $10 an hour, you can't even imagine getting out of state. Right? Why? Because you wouldn't have enough gas money to get back. You might get there, and that'd be it. You're like, okay, how am I going to get home? Because you don't have enough money to come back. At $15 an hour, you might be able to get out of state and come back, but you're not going 2, 3, 4 states away. So look at the commitment level of what people are going to do in a business. How far can they see is how far they're going to build. So unconscious incompetence. You didn't know what you didn't know. Now all of a sudden you know that there's the 10 core, and you know there's 10 things that we need to know how to do. So you become consciously incompetent. You know that you don't know some stuff. So now all of a sudden you start taking notes, and you're like, okay, I got to figure this out. Now I just recently, I did a Facebook Live earlier, and it just so happened that somebody who's in the company I'm in from a different team jumped on it. I didn't know this, but they jumped on it. And they wrote, they're like, this gave me a lot of hope. And I was like, well, why is that? And they're like, well, not only do I work a full-time job, but I have a photography business, and I have a network marketing business, and I coach volleyball, and I have a family at home. I've got kids and stuff like that to work over, and you just give me hope that you really can do everything. I said, yes, but you have to choose a focus, because the reason I was able to do so many different things is I made $100,000 in one thing before I started all the other ones. She's like, oh. I was like, yeah, I left that out of the dispute, but the most important thing is I made $100,000 in one place first, and I knocked that out, and then I was able to add other things because I ran it effectively. I knew what it took to get it up and running, so now I'm able to replace myself in a lot of cases where I don't have to work as much. I don't have to be there as much, but I can make the same amount of money. And she's like, oh, I never thought of that. So you don't know what you don't know, then all of a sudden you know that you don't know some things. So that's the conversation we're having. You could watch her, you can watch through her comments as she's figuring it out. Some people come through this very quickly. Some people it takes a little while. Then you get to conscious competence. You know that you know. You know that there's 10 things. You know these are the things you need to do. But watch this. If you think that you know these things, but you haven't gone out and done them and applied them yet, then you really don't know them yet. In theory, you know them. But when you go out and apply them, what you'll tend to find is your theory and your thought of how it's going to work doesn't come out how you thought it was going to work. And that's when you really figure out how it works. And when you finally get it to work, meaning you're contacting, all of a sudden starts breaking through and you're getting appointments. This week, Beth knows this, there was a guy named Justin that I invited as a guest onto our call. He's involved in a network marketing company and a legacy company. He actually contacted me, and the reason I invited him on is he had guts. Most people don't contact me. Like, I've been contacted a handful of times, but most of the time it's the other way around, most of the time. So, like, I gave him credit. I was like, all right, this guy, he's like, what do you do? I saw you talking to guys. It's the middle of the day. What do you do? So I knew right away. I saw by his shirt, he had his, company on his shirt. He didn't have his name, but his company was on his shirt, which is just as revealing of who he is. By the way, if you wear your company shirt most of the time, anybody who has been exposed to that runs away. So I never wear anything that identifies me with my company ever. Ever. Why? Because I've recruited more people who are haters of what we do than anybody other than some of the people on stage. I've been able to turn more people around because I don't wear all that stuff. I don't repel them right away. And then when I do have a conversation with them about it, I'm able to be like, yeah, I hate that stuff too. You know, they're like, oh, I hate all the three-way calls and stuff and blah, blah. I said, good, because I hate all that too. I changed all that. And they're like, what? And then we'll have the conversation. So conscious competence, you start knowing what to do, and it starts working. So anyway, I taught this kid, Justin, the favor script. And he's like, okay. We met, traded numbers. I asked him a couple questions, just built a little bit of a relationship, then I let it go, and then he contacted me and said, hey, I have some questions, I want to sit down with you. Because in our initial conversation, I told him, yeah, I had some success in your company, now I went off and did something else, and I have these other companies. He's like, wait, did you just say you recruited how many people? I'm like, yeah, I recruited about 500, some, maybe more than that, front line. And he's like, what, you know, we talked about time frames and how fast and, you know, what I was doing. I said, well, we just got started in something new, and we've recruited, you know, 30, I think it's 36 tomorrow. We've got another one, so it'll be like 37 frontline people in 72 days, which is like a person. He's like, that's like a person every other day. I'm like, yeah, that's the math right now. I said, it's slow to me. I wish I was going faster. And he's just like, okay, well, I need to meet with you. Okay, so we met, and I ran him through, you know, his process, because I kind of knew his process, but I let him describe it to me. And I said, well, here's what I do instead. And he's like, I like that. I said, that's why it works. He goes, that's very different, but it's simple. It is duplicatable. I was like, okay. And he went out and used it. I asked him, I said, hey, dude, how's your weekend? You know, what's going on? I've just stayed in touch with him. And I'm going to read exactly what he wrote, because this is kind of fun. Okay, so I said, awesome, thanks Jeff, really appreciate it. Just give me your thoughts after. Okay, so he talked about that. I believe 100% it's people business and helps you relate with people and connect and grow. So we were talking about just overall one side. He said, hey, how was the weekend? He said it was good. We were able to get in touch with 6 contacts, and we have 3 appointments booked so far this week. How's yourself? When I talked to him last, he hadn't booked that many appointments, like, you know, in the year and a half he'd been in. Now he's doing it in a week. He's like, this is changing everything. Just that turnaround that fast. So what happened is he had a basic understanding of how things work, but when I taught him this, conscious competence, I was able to shorten that time frame on how fast. I started talking to him about, I was like, your process is you have these mini conversations, and there's all this stuff that happens, and then finally you get here, and then you get a result. I'm like, what if you took this long process and took it to this, the same meeting? You said, hey, do me a favor, I want to share something with you. And you got him on the phone and actually talked to him right then, and then you qualified him, and then you invited him out. I said, you could shorten your time frame. You have so much distance in between what you're doing. That's what's killing you. I said, time is the enemy. And for those of you who don't know this, time is your enemy inside of every business. Every business. Time is the enemy. Not just in network marketing, but time is your enemy inside of real estate. Time is your enemy inside of the mortgage business. Time is your enemy in the massage holistic business. Bess will tell you this. The further out an appointment, the more likely it is to cancel. I like appointments that are farther out. Why? Because I have a schedule. But the further out they are, the more likely they are to cancel. Why? Because stuff comes up and stuff happens and they forget and this, that, and the other thing. Even if we have reminders. Just happens. If you ever go into a doctor's office, think of this. If you ever go into a doctor's office, they'll book an appointment, maybe, you know, a dental appointment 6 months out. And what they'll do is the month that you have your dental appointment, they'll call and remind you. They'll send you a notice, a mailer. Hey, remember your dentist appointment. The week before, they'll call you. The day before, they'll call you. The day of, they'll call you. Why are they doing so many reminders? Because people's schedules are so busy. And I know most of you, you know where most of you, and I say most of you, most people, not necessarily us on the line, but most of us, this is a receipt. This is our day planner right here. We write it on the back of this, right, Jim? We write it on the back of this, and we're like, appointment, 7 o'clock, July. And I'll look at this, I'll be like, exactly, he's got it right there. Is that your dentist today? He's got his dentist appointment, his eye appointment, everything's on that one piece of paper. If you turn it over, what it is, it's a flyer for the carnival or something, you know. I mean, it's like, you know, a discount. Yeah, it's a legal document of some kind, or a bill. That's our thing. And, you know, I used to use the phrase, I said, how many of you, you know, had a legal planner and McDonald's was on it, you know, because it was a McDonald's wrapper or a napkin or something, and that's your planner when you first get involved in network marketing. You're wondering why your life is a mess. I mean, your life should be better if it was on a napkin. I mean, you should be able to clean some of that up. But, you know, that's terrible. And that's where most of us are at. Here's what you want. You want to get to the point where this is unconsciously competent. Unconsciously competent, meaning you know this stuff inside and out, where sometimes people will ask me and they're like, Jeff, what do I do? Or how did you do that? You know, what did you say? And I was like, I have to think about what I said because I'm so used to doing it. It's like, I don't know if you've ever done this. You get up in the morning and you get ready and you get dressed, you brush your teeth and everything, and you get in the car and you walk out the door and you're like, did I lock the door? I don't remember if I locked the door. Did we lock the door? I don't remember. And you have to drive back to find out if you locked the door. Or did I put the garage down? I did that one too. Did I put the garage down? I don't remember putting the garage down. And nowadays we have so many texts and Facebook messages incoming, and we're checking our phone and trying to remember where we're going. Now I have one more thing on top of all that. I have like super bad allergies. So just imagine, have you guys ever had the flu, or like full-blown flu, where like you're sneezing and coughing and your head hurts and the pressure builds so much? Like if you were staring at 5 words, if you looked away you couldn't remember them. Like that is basically what 6 months of my life is like every year. 6 months. Like back-to-back days. Where I'll literally have a conversation with you and forget the next minute what I just talked about. And I mean, it's not like a day of that. It's like 6 months of that, sometimes in blocks of about 3 months at a time. 3 months at the beginning of the year, 3 months in the middle. And those sometimes are my good months. You know, the rest of the time I'm recovering. You know, the winter months I'm kind of recovering from some of that. I'm a little clearer. Everything's a little better. But as soon as summer or spring and fall hit, all that stuff goes in the air. I'm trying a couple experimental holistic things that are helping. But basically I've tried all the, you know, the doctor's so funny. He's like, well, sometimes you can switch from Zyrtec to Claritin to whatever the newest one is. And I'm like, sometimes you can switch from a hammer to an axe to a sledgehammer. But it's just a harder hit. It's the same problem, right? That's not working. I kind of made fun of him at one point, and he was just like, I was like, yeah, I know it reacts different in the system. I said, actually, here's what I did. I tried all 3 of them at the same time, and it still didn't work. And he's just like, well, you're really not supposed to do it. I said, I know, I'm just kidding, but, like, you're telling me, like, I didn't know that you could switch. What is that? Jim and I will talk later about that. So, my point is, we have all these other complications in life, and now you're trying to learn something. You're trying to learn a business. You're not trying to learn a one-time sale. You're trying to learn how to operate a business. So there's more to it but there's more to it if you want to operate at a bigger level. The first skill you have to learn is how to recruit. That's the first skill you have to learn. After you learn how to recruit, then you move to the next level up. After you learn how to recruit, you're going to have to learn how to basically build with people. That's the team building side. I've recruited somebody. Now I have to turn around and help somebody recruit somebody. Then I have to start teaching how to do that. That's a higher level of learning. You think it's bad when you can't get people in. And I told everybody this. I said, you think it's bad when you can't get people in. I said, wait till you get people in. Your problem right now is the 20% problem, not the 80% problem. Believe me, you want the 80% problem because there's more money there. But when you first start it, you'll think, what did I just get myself into? The benefits are there. That's what I'm telling you. The benefits are there. It's going to happen for you. So those 4, unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, you'll then go to conscious competence, and the goal is to get to unconscious competence, where, you know, Bess and I have had this conversation before. Very often, and she knows this, like Brandy actually is now yelling at me too about this, because we're doing a show every morning, and she's like, well, I know you can do this without notes and without a plan at all. You can just go, the subject, and gone. Because some of it I know so well, like, why do you need notes on something that you do every day? Like, could you imagine, well, I need notes on how to basically get up in the morning and put my clothes on. Like, does anybody need notes to tell anybody how to do that? Nobody needs notes on that because you do it so often. It's something I've done every day for years, so I don't need notes to do that. I just want to shorten and compact it if I ever write. If I ever write anything down, it's so that I just have it in bullet points so I can stay on subject even faster. So with that, that is a wrap. That's what I have for today. Basically you want to stay in not just for a little while, like Beth said. It is staying in permanently. I see that we have a couple people who have written things, and I'm going to turn this back over to Beth to kind of cover some of that. Beth, you there?
Yeah. The conversations don't apply to what we're talking about right now, but yes. So we can go to unmute. We're going to ask each of you for a takeaway, something you heard tonight that was your favorite thing that you like, that you will hopefully commit to put into action in your business. So we'd like